everybody. It is Alex from Heavy New York calling from the altar again, and this time we are here with Johnny Kelly of Typo Negative, Kill Devil Hill, Pale Horse Named Death, Danzig, and am I missing anything? Silvertomb, I said that already, and
Quiet Riot.
Yeah, Quiet Riot. Yep, I thought I missed one.
And Patriarchs in Black.
Patriarchs in Black. I was close. I was trying to memorize everything and like maybe write down everything on my
You
hand.
got a lot of them in there though. That was good.
Yeah, I thought about like writing them down, but like Typo Negative, Pale Horse Named Death, it's all too big to fit on my hands. So
They're all big names.
yeah, exactly.
A lot of syllables.
Yeah, it's so awesome to have you here, man, because this new Kill Devil Hill album is absolutely kick-ass. Seas of Oblivion.
You've heard it? You've heard the whole record?
Oh, I've heard the whole album, and when you just like
cool.
every track from the bitter end all the way up to Blood in the Water, kick-ass album, start to finish, and side to side, can't get enough of it. So excellent
Thanks.
work.
I'm pretty excited about it. Like it's a cool record, you know. Like when it was all said and done, I was like, wow, this came out pretty cool.
No, it's fucking awesome, and I was into the other Kill Devil Hill stuff too, but this is without a doubt the best Kill Devil Hill album.
It's definitely a little different.
You could. That was what I wanted to ask you. I thought it was very different from like the previous Kill Devil Hill work. So was there sort of like a vision with the making of this? Did you kind of go into it with a preconceived idea in a way, or was it a very like improvisational process?
Really, when we started like working on the record itself, like working on the songs, like, you know, like stuff was just coming up. Mark has the ability to come up with riffs rather quickly. You know, and so then, you know, like a couple of songs, like they were just sending me songs, and then I was like doing demos here at home, and then I went out to California for a couple of days, and we worked on the songs a little bit more, and you know, and then in the studio, we did all the drums, I think, in like 2.5 days. I think I recorded like 17 songs in 2.5 days.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, it was like a bunch of cover songs and like, you know, things like that, and, you know, but yeah, it was like it really went quickly, like, you know, like it came together quickly. Like I wasn't too familiar with like, you know, the vocals,
yeah,
because a lot of that was still kind of like being hashed out.
Yeah,
but yeah, like, you know, it's pretty, like, you know, for what I normally do, it's pretty different. You know, so that was the thing that I like about it.
That's something. That's something I've always admired about you as a drummer, is because every project you're in, like, it seems like there's different techniques involved, different energy, and different strategies.
Well, that would be like the whole thing, you know. Like when I was playing in a couple of different things, you know, when Typo Negative was active, and, you know, like when Kenny and I put out the Seventh Void record, and they was like, you know, people like, this doesn't sound like Typo.
Oh, of course, Kenny is not Peter. Right.
But also, it was like, you know, back then it'd be like, well, why would it sound like Typo? We're in Typo. Why would we want to do something outside of Typo that sounds like Typo?
There can only be one Typo, first off.
Right. I mean, aside from that, though, it would be like, you know, why would you like want to do the same thing? It's like doing the same thing with a couple of different people, like with 2 different people or whatever. It's like, it didn't really make sense. Of course, it'd be different. It was showing like a different side of, you know, like of the kind of music that we, you know, that we also like playing music like this. You know, this is also something that interests us. Yeah. And something we have fun with. You know, so it's kind of like along the lines of the stuff that we listen to when we're not playing in Typo Negative and we're listening to music. You know, you're doing different things. And I kind of have that same approach, you know, playing, you know, with different bands. You know, it's, I mean, obviously it's you know, it's not a money thing. You know, a lot of these bands aren't, you know, really making any money. So I want to do things that are interesting, that are different. It makes me, you know, things that'll make me a better drummer. You know, make me better at what I do.
Well, with the making of this, because it was 10 years since Revolution Rise, the last Kill Devil Hill album, and, you know, in the last 10 years, you've been very busy, and coming into this project, and, you know, when we hear Blood in the Water, or You Can't Kill Me, California, or Before the Devil Knows, that's not just a representation of the whole album. That's just the tip of the iceberg in a way. But were you looking at the last 2 Kill Devil Hill records being like, okay, got to use this technique a little bit more, utilize this, or were you kind of given full range to bring your own?
No, but really, the guys were really supportive in like, what I was doing. I mean, obviously I'm a different drummer than Vinny Appice, and my approach, I think, was different. Like the thing that they kept on saying, like the thing that they were liking, the quality that I was bringing to this new music was that I was playing for the song. Vinny's got his thing, so Vinny has to be Vinny Appice in everything that he does, and he's got his thing, and he's amazing at it. And so, but like the way that I approach music, that's the one thing that stays constant. The stuff that I learned about songwriting and things like that with Typo Negative, that I take into everywhere I go.
Okay.
Like the riff, like the music itself may be different, but like my approach to it is, from my upbringing with Typo Negative on how to apply drums to a song.
Yeah.
And like to make the song better, and to like make it feel like it's moving, even though it may not be. It should be something like mid-tempo, or like something like that. But you apply it so that it feels like it's moving a lot faster than it is.
Well, as a drummer, have you always needed the music before you lay down your parts, or have you ever had like maybe a pattern or like a drum structure that maybe the band could write over?
It's like looking back at it, I don't really see anything. Like I remember, like when we were coming up with the opening, the drum intro for like Cinnamon Girl that was on October Rust. Peter had this idea, like he wanted to hear something, like this specific drum pattern, and the thing that he was suggesting I didn't like.
Is that why you destroyed everything on the Howard Stern show when you played that song?
No, that was them. That's Josh. That's yeah. But like I came up with another pattern that was kind of similar to what he wanted, but it just had it just moved better. And something that I liked. I liked it better, and he was happy with it. So like rhythmically, it kind of sounded similar to what he wanted, but I was just applying it onto the drum set differently.
Yeah. I watched that Howard Stern video, and part of me wonders how the fuck did Josh become a paramedic for the city of New York after that?
I just hope to God I never get into any kind of health issues when I'm in Brooklyn.
What makes you feel better? I heard his areas are like the worst areas of Brooklyn that you never go to anyway.
He works in like
East New York, I think, right?
Yeah, he's in East New York. Yeah, that's that neighborhood. That's a tough neighborhood.
So yeah. you have no reason to go there anyway.
Josh works hard every day.
Watch, people are going to be watching this though, and they're going to go. You're going to have diehard Typo fans go to East New York and be like, "Yo, here's $20. Can you beat me up a little bit so I could?"
They won't have to like pay anybody to do it. They'll get robbed and beat up.
Yeah. I don't encourage any of that, by the way. If you're watching this,
I wouldn't suggest it.
Yeah.
I would not suggest it.
Yeah, he'll probably see somebody in the Typo shirt and be like, "Oh fuck, all right, get the next guy."
Or get the gurney ready.
Yeah, or the body bag.
This guy isn't going to be out here long.
Fair enough. One conversation I love to have with drummers is because there's a lot of people who would think that because drums aren't very driven by melody, that it's not a very emotional instrument, but that it's very technical. But I listen to the drum work that you've done in every project that you've been involved with. Like when I listen to the Danzig stuff that you've done, I hear a lot of emotion and intensity into that rhythm section. And when I listen to, the Edge of Existence by Silvertomb, I loved the rhythm that was incorporated in there. When we hear the drums, there's a lot of emotion that you do channel into your work, right?
Yeah, well, it's something, like discussing a lot of this with, my wife, where it's, like when you're doing something that's very, passion driven, it's not, like sometimes, you can do something like, whatever, paint by numbers and, right, like this song, like say you're doing a session for somebody and you'd be like, just keep it simple, do what it needs and, and that's it. But when when working with, within the context of the bands that I'm playing with, it's important to me that the drums, say something. I mean, they're not the focal point of the song. Like, the bands that I play in, it's not that kind of drumming, So it's not, it's not very busy, but it should represent and support what the song is saying. Mm-hmm. So like if there's something that has some kind of like intensity or something like that, the drum should reflect that, and it not take away from it or distract from it. It needs to support it, and to be the foundation of what's being said, what the focal point of the song is. So a lot of times, when working on new music, I was always keying on the guitar player, and so then I would come up with patterns or something that would reflect, like, the riffs in the song, sometimes that's cool where everybody's doing the same thing note for note, and, going at something that way. But in other aspects, other times, like I would hear something, some kind of inflection that the vocals are doing or something. So they go to the vocals, then go to the guitar riff, or like, key on like a secondary, string part or something, to help, build, dynamic and atmosphere to it. And that comes from learning, about songwriting, learning with, Peter and Josh and Kenny.
But when I listen to, like, when you play a song that's like very, very like fast, that's the stuff that we've seen in Kill Devil Hill, but like a song that is also in Type O, because, I Don't Want to Be Me was a very fast song, but then to play like a very slow song like Love You to Death or How Could You or something like that, does it feel like it's a completely different energy or technique?
No.
It doesn't.
No. It just feels like whatever we played, it just felt like we were playing Type O Negative songs. It didn't, like some of the stuff, like some of the older stuff, like my playing, like my double kick playing and stuff, had deteriorated. Like I don't want to say I forgot how to play it, but basically I kind of forgot how to play.
There's our headline right there. Well, but you know what? In the end, I think what matters is if you hold the rhythm and the beat together. If your drummer sucks, your band sucks. So it doesn't matter if you have Randy Rhoads in the band.
That's true for any band. It doesn't matter what band it is. And like I said, previously, it was, it was part of the support of, Type O had so many things going on in one song at any given moment. And, something has to be the foundation for all that.
Of course. You, like, again, and whether you're playing smooth jazz or you're playing death metal, in the end, it's the drummer that holds it all together. In our local scene, we do have a National Hug a Drummer Day. Granted, because there's usually, every scene only has like 4 drummers and they're in like 17 different bands. So.
But it's it's funny. Like I'm tied to a lot of different things, but at the same time, like I'm usually home a lot. So
I don't blame you. As soon as you walk out your door, can you join our band? Can you join our band? Can you join our band? That's the curse of every drummer.
It's great. It's great that I get the opportunity that like that like other people want to play with me. So that's that says a lot.
Absolutely.
That says a lot. And like I appreciate it. I'm flattered by it, and it's great to get the opportunity, like to play with different people. And I try to look at it, like I said before, all these different things. It's all to try to make me just a better overall drummer, better musician. To learn, to see how how certain groups will create music and how they come up with things and how things are developed and stuff.
Yeah.
And somewhere down the road that'll benefit me somehow.
Of course.
I'm always trying to learn. I'm always trying to do things better. Always trying to improve. And I've always been a student of what I'm doing.
Nobody is your friend. Nobody is your enemy. But everybody is your teacher.
Yeah. Like so I could find something. Something that I can learn from in just about any situation. I mean, there's plenty of things that I can learn what not to do. Like stay away from that. Make a note.
Of course,
make a note of that.
as we must. We all need those moments.
But I always try to find something. Like to try to find some kind of benefit from it that I can learn from.
Of course. There is one anniversary I needed to talk about, a recent Typo Negative anniversary that we all were celebrating. 20 Years of Life is Killing Me. That's my favorite Typo album. That's the one that I discovered Typo on, and that's sentimental to me. Disclaimer.
That's right. That's right. This year is 20 years.
Yep. I was born in '93, so that was my.
I joined Typo Negative in '93.
I'm aware. I'm aware of that. Good times. I remember those days. I remember.
Oh, that's funny.
But I just wanted to know what the mindset was behind "Life Is Killing Me," because I spoke with Kenny about it. He mentioned that it was like a very, very like, and I'm not trying to harp on it or like profit, but it was a rather deteriorating time. I know that "I Don't Want to Be Me" was written because Kenny challenged Peter to writing a relatively simple song. But I still think we were like,
things would pop up like things like that, like Peter would draw inspiration for stuff like to come up with songs from like anything, and usually it was like something that was like right in front of his face, and then he would kind of embellish it to make it more interesting. But like every record that we did was like a snapshot of what where the band was at, where we were at as people, where we were at as musicians, where in terms of success, or and that record, that was I always felt that the record was a little disjointed. There's a couple of songs on it that I think are like some of Peter's, they're up there with some of the best stuff Peter's ever written.
Anesthesia, I'm guessing, is one.
Yeah, Anesthesia, and I always loved the song Nettie.
Okay.
Simple song. It's a simple song, but like the chorus to me was always so huge, and I was always like trying to push for that song to be something from the record. But at that point, we were at a low point with our, after the record came out, like the record itself felt like it was a little disjointed, and it didn't. To me, it wasn't our best effort. It was our best effort at the time.
Okay.
But I always felt that we could, that we were capable of doing better.
We were electrocute, if I said that correctly. How could you? That 75 letter abbreviation song title. If you don't know, if you don't kill me, I'm gonna have to, or something like that.
If you don't kill me, I'm gonna have to kill you.
Yeah. I mean, and the title track. I just found that to be some of the most beautiful work in a way, because I thought it had a lot of contrast and demonstrated.
It does have contrast, and it was it was cool in the sense that some of the humor came back, because World Coming Down is such a bleak record, which is what I love about it, because it's that's to me is emotion. It was it's so bleak and helpless, and it's so helpless at that point, and to turn that, take that, and make music from that, and have I love the record, and so some of the more lighthearted elements of what Typo had done in the past had found its way back on Life Is Killing Me.
Yeah, and I think the harder elements.
I mean, a couple of songs. I mean, I could say it because I always looked at what we did. I tried to look at it as being a fan as well. To me, there was just too much filler on the record and not enough meat.
Fair enough, but I think all the hard elements. I think all the hard elements came back on Dead Again. I almost feel like Dead Again was almost kind of like, in a way, a fan sequel to Slow, Deep, and Hard.
It was like a culmination of everything, and it was. I guess that was with the mindset of where we were too, and that record was developed by jamming for months. We were in the studio, seriously, we were going to the rehearsal studio like 5-6 nights a week for months, just every night, going to the studio, trying to come up with ideas, and it wouldn't be uncommon to spend 2 hours of rehearsal playing the same part, just one part of a song, and just playing it forever, and trying different things with it, and but it was literally working on the same part. It was OCD, Wet Dream. Yeah. And it got to a point where we were doing that for so long, it was we're booking studio time. That's it. We're done. We're done working on the record. we're done writing songs, and because Peter at that point, he was the possibilities are endless, and he was determined to try to find every possibility for every single part of the song on every song that we did. and it was, it just got to a point where to me the songs were getting worse. Like, so it's like we got to stop this. You know, you have until like whatever we book studio time and at Systems 2. It was for like the following week or something. It was like, you got 5 days to come up with your possibilities.
Fair enough. That's awesome. That's a great story.
And that's what it was like. That's what it got to that point where we had to call it. We were like, that's it. It's not, you know, the songs aren't getting better. We're not making any progress. Like, you know, like we're done developing. Now it's just like nitpicking and just, you know, it just got to be too much.
Fair enough.
And then it was, we're going into the studio on Monday, you know, whatever. You got a few days to figure out what you want to do.
And you know, a lot of the music that you have played, really, I think what I've always admired, and this could go for Typo, it could go for Seventh Void, it could go for, you know, even Kill Devil Hill. You have always played in a band where that's always captured the beauty of darkness in a way. There's some bands that I felt like exploit the darkness, like we see that in death metal or black metal. Let's be as evil and dark sounding as we can. But I've always thought that you brought romanticism to it. Did you almost like have to sort of, this is a very deep question, but did you almost have to like seek out the inspiration? Did you almost have to sort of put yourself in a dark state of mind or look for inspiration to get in that mindset?
I don't know. I think that was just the general mindset that just permeated all the time. And it wasn't, you know, we were always in that place. And that's what came out, really. Like, you know, there was a time, you know, there would be, the songs would reflect it, you know, would be more like, you know, joking or, you know, sarcastic or, you know, more tongue-in-cheek. And, but the way that the songs were written, it was with Typo, the music always came first, and then Peter would get inspiration from what the music sounded like. That would dictate to him what the lyrics, what the content should be, what the subject should be about. And so, you know, so if we had a song that had like these melancholic parts in it or whatever, that was going to be more of that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And because the music was always written first, then the lyrics. Kenny, I don't know. I really don't know what he does. When he's writing with Silvertomb, I have no idea. You know, it's like I don't like, you don't want to know what goes into sausage. You know, like, whatever makes him, I don't know what motivates him or.
I'm going to text him that. Johnny says your songwriting process is like sausage. You don't want to know what goes into it, but it's fucking good.
Yeah, it is. And it's, you know, like now, like with Silvertomb, like working on the music, like working on a new record, you know, Kenny built a studio at home. So he'll send me like, you know, like it's like a pretty well structured song with vocals and a vocal melody and stuff. So a lot of it is right there for me to see, as far as like what I think I should do with the drums. And, you know, like a lot of times I'm pretty spot on with what he's looking for. And then other times he'll be like, no, he's like, you know, I wanted it to be, you know, like this, it needs to be like, you know, like more bleak or, you know, not to be too busy or like, you know, like happy drumming or, you know, something like that. He'll have somewhat of an idea. And then there'll be other times where like, you know, I'll record something. I send it back to him like, you know, what do you think of this? And he's like, well, no, he's like, you know, I wanted it to be more like this. And I would tell him, you know, what I'm seeing in the song and like, you know, like this is what I think, you know, the drums should like, you know, represent, you know, here or whatever. And, you know, and then sometimes he, you know, he'll go along with it. Sometimes he's like, you know, pretty specific on what he's looking for. But, you know, a lot of the times, you know, because we played together for so long, you know, we've been playing together since I met Kenny when I was like 17 years old. I'm 55 now. And
you've been in a lot of bands with him. You don't hear it too often.
It's only a couple of years where we weren't playing in a band together.
Yeah.
You know, like when he joined Typo, like when Typo started, up until I joined Typo, those were the only times that we didn't play together since we've known each other.
Yeah, and then you did Seventh Void, Silvertomb, and
yeah, everything else.
Yeah, and even with that too, because even when you played with a Pale Horse Named Death, Sal with his history of Typo as well. So does it feel like that?
Yeah.
Almost like the Typo spirit is almost prevalent in everything, even if you did a style, and you're also doing I Am as well. So like,
Yeah.
so it seems like you can't escape it.
Well, yeah, it's it's your it's your neighborhood. You know it. And if you're gonna do that kind of stuff, you know that you can he'd be good for that. He'd be good. He'd be good for this, or
Yeah.
So, and it is like with doing it together for so many years. You have a similar mindset. Like Kenny can send me something, and I'll, most of the time instinctually know what he's expecting.
Yeah, and it's always good to have that. When you can relate to each other on an artistic level, that's hard because there's plenty of my best friends.
It will always be attached at the hip.
Yeah, because we all have plenty of friends who are artists. Some of my best friends are very talented artists, but you couldn't pay me to collaborate with them. We have different methods, different sources of inspiration, but if you can relate on an artistic level, like that is pretty. Awesome.
I get them. I get him, and so it's easy for me to work with him.
Yeah.
But like when people the way that we communicate is a completely different thing. It looks like an abusive relationship.
Wow.
Because it's very what's the word? It's very it's abusive because we yell at each other and talk shit about each other and insult each other.
That's New York. That's a New York thing, though. So,
yeah. So we'll be working on stuff, and it's like I was kind of nervous about what Kirk and Todd would react to how Kenny and I work on music together.
Because Kirk is so laid back, a nice New Orleans guy and whatever. Oh man, that's gonna make for some excellent contracts.
Kenny are what the fuck is that? What is that? No, don't do that. That's crap.
I love it. I would love to be a fly on the wall in a studio with you guys just for 5 minutes.
I mean, it's if you know us, whatever, it's entertaining. But if you don't know us, you'd be like, Jesus Christ, these guys are fucked.
And you let me. I love this.
That's how it was working with Peter and Josh too. There was no sugarcoating anything.
But Josh never talked, so how did you communicate?
No, but Josh would talk in the studio for sure. Yeah, he was producing the records. I had tons of fights with Josh.
Yeah.
Tons.
The best quote, as I saw him in one interview that he did, would you rather be a vampire or a werewolf? And he just says, I'd rather be a Jew from Brooklyn, and that's what I am.
That's what I am.
Yeah, that's awesome. And the final question I wanted to ask you is in order to get the inspiration and that creative urge to get behind the kid, whether it's for songwriting or just jamming and exercise, can you really seek out the inspiration in a way? Do you have control over your own evolution and source of inspiration, or does it just have to come to you?
Since I moved down to Texas, and as I've gotten older, I've taken more of an interest in actual drumming. For years I spent, trying to be the best drummer for Typo Negative, to do that job as best as I could, and it really wasn't. You didn't really have to know your doubles and your paradiddles and things like that. You played what was necessary for the song. And later on, I've taken more of an interest in the art of drumming, and so now it's working on my paradiddles and working on different aspects of my playing, trying to improve my playing overall, and. So I do a lot more practicing here, and now that I've gotten older, now that I'm playing in Quiet Riot too, playing Frankie Banali's parts, it's a lot of playing, and so it's important. I have to practice. I have to practice to stay loose and be ready, it's like, we're playing like, once, 2, 3 times a week, like last week I played once,
Wow.
so it's like, even though if I'm playing once or I'm playing 5 nights a week, now I have to be, I have to practice enough so that I'm ready just for the one show. And, so there's a different, my playing style is kind of similar to what Frankie's was. I grew up on, Frankie's playing, so it had a big influence on me. So, there's some similarities, but there were some things that I was like, how do you do that? Like I was like, like some of the stuff that he did live, it's like, what was that? And it was like, I have to go back and learn. And then I would have to learn how to do these things. And, they weren't on the records. It was more, for the live show. But there were certain things I had to improve my singles, my hand speed, improve my hand speed. That was a lot that I had to work on post Typo Negative, because like Typo Negative really didn't require a lot of hand speed.
Yeah, no.
It really didn't really need it.
Yeah.
But so later on, later part of my career, these things I've had to work on, and I have to practice. So I practice more. I was renting a studio down in Dallas, and I would go down there. Like during the pandemic, I took more of an interest in practicing.
Yeah.
Like for years, I could just show up. I hadn't played for, a couple of weeks or whatever, just show up and play. And it wouldn't get better, wouldn't get worse. So we just stay the same, like Jerry Seinfeld, it always works out.
I regret telling you that freaking story. I was trying to keep that out of the interview, but damn it, Kenny.
But I was lucky in that sense. Like, it wouldn't get worse. Wouldn't get better, just kind of stayed the same, and it was so I was able to, get away with that. Now I can't do that anymore, and now I feel, more responsibility to myself to be the best that I can at any moment. So I put more time into practicing. But yeah, there's been plenty of times I'll go down and go to my studio. And at that time too, like the studio I was renting was like 45 miles away from my house, so I'm like driving an hour each way. It was like I drive down there, spend all this time in traffic. I get down there and I'd be like, really don't feel like playing today. And I get in my car and drive home. It was like, it just wasted all this. I killed like the whole day, just to go do nothing.
Yeah.
And now I have a studio. Like first time in my life, I have drums set up in my house. Like a kit, like I have the E. There's pads on that, so it's like an E kit.
Oh,
there's pads on top of the acoustic kit.
Got the Ludwig there. I could tell you still are inspired by the Beatles.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Beatles, Led Zeppelin, Humble Pie, Grand Funk Railroad, all those guys in the '70s, they all played Ludwig kits. And Charlie Watts played Gretsch, and but. So like I've had that, but it's pads, it's pads, and it's not the same as like, being on a kit. Now I have a kit. There's a kit set up in a shed in my backyard. I built the studio over the spring, and I have it all mic'd up. I go in there, I can track, I have everything right at my doorstep.
Do you ever get that anxiety that like, oh my God, I didn't practice today, so now I suck? Like, does that kind of like?
Sometimes. I started a few years back when I moved down. When I moved down here, I was doing it more. I teach. I give lessons. Mm-hmm. So like when I'm working with students, I'm practicing. Like we're practicing and keeping loose and keeping active instead of just going in cold on my Friday night show with Quiet Riot somewhere. There's been sticks in my hand all week.
Yeah. or a studio or in the studio with Kenny, which sounds like a goth Abbott and Costello. So
Abbott and Costello, that's a good one.
Yeah.
But yeah, actually that we're going down in October. We're going to New Orleans again.
Oh wow.
Going in October to work on some new stuff, like a lot of what they do. I'm like the last person to find out about it. Him and Kirk, they swap ideas and stuff, and then they'll be, I'll get down there. We'll all get together and be like, this is what we have, and then we start hashing out, putting the song together and like building the song and then coming up with things. Because I, like even with the first song, "Dreams Always Die with the Sun." we were talking, whatever, like, the group text, and everybody's talking about, oh yeah, it's going to be great. We're going to get together this day, blah, 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 all these details. And I just put in, hey, if anybody want to send me some music so that I could be a little prepared, like have an idea of what I'm going into.
I have a feeling they're enjoying it.
I can come up with a couple of drum things, before I get into the room with you guys. They're like, no, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Kirk likes to write in the studio. It's like, so you guys have nothing? And then I find out they were like, swapping ideas. And I fly down there. I fly down to the studio. I literally walk into the studio with my suitcase, put my suitcase over to the side. I, stop playing. I'm like, can you guys show me the song now?
That's amazing. That's awesome. Yeah. Again, you should honestly, here's how you promote, here's some way you could promote the band. Have people win a contest. If you win, you get to attend a writing session with Johnny and Kenny.
You should go on the internet right now.
Okay. Why?
We're doing that.
You are? Okay. Yeah. Oh, yes, I did see that. Yes. Yes. Oh, my God.
Which I found out today via the internet that we're doing this.
Oh my God. Okay, so both of us are in.
My wife, we foster rescue dogs and stuff like that. So there's 8 dogs in my house right now. Oh, 8 dogs and 2 cats. So in the morning it's really busy. So I help my wife, getting dogs fed and watered, and and she's like, she goes, "You gonna be in New Orleans for this Halloween?" I was like, yeah, I just heard. She goes, you had no idea? I was like, no, I just read about it, like before you got out of bed. I was like, yeah. Oh. She's like, nobody told you? I said, I knew that I was going down to New Orleans at the end of October. I didn't know the exact dates or anything, said, I'm still waiting for my entire, Quiet Riot itinerary for the month. And I said, yeah, for me, enter to win, hang out in the studio with Johnny and Kenny from I Am. And I'm like, oh, all right. Halloween.
Well, we are definitely encouraging people to sign up for that contest now.
I think it's like for the first 100 people, because we're getting ready to release another single.
Okay.
So if you pre-order the single, you automatically get entered into the raffle to win a day with Kenny and I.
I cannot wait. You got to.
Which I would like. That would be like the last thing I would ever spend money on. Not ever.
I really hope you get the most innocent, suburban,
I pay money to not be a part of it.
I would pay money to watch it, let alone be a part of it. So.
Yeah. But so anyway, they're doing I guess a contest or a giveaway or something. I'm pretty sure it's not all expense paid. So you'd have to figure out your own way to get down to New Orleans. But New Orleans on Halloween is pretty cool, I'd imagine.
And an alligator for dinner is not included. So So before we go, I want to thank you so much for your time and for such an awesome conversation. Just
is there fun?
Yeah, thanks, man. This was a lot of fun too. It was an honor to talk with you, especially as somebody like myself who's never had the privilege of seeing Typo before. This is always a good chat with you and Kenny and everybody else. So, is there just anything else with Kill Devil Hill, I Am, or the 75 other projects you're involved with that you like?
Kill Devil Hill record is supposed to be coming out in September.
Yep.
I mean, it's all done, it's all done. Everything's, the package is all put together. Yeah. We had been releasing video singles, the last few months, every month or, whatever, 6 weeks. We shot 2 videos. We did one for Blood in the Water and Pharmaceutical Sunshine. And we've released a couple of other, just lyric videos that have been put out, so people can hear the songs and stuff. And it was produced by Chris Collier. Chris Collier's a pretty cool, producer. He's got some pretty good credits under his belt. It was great to get the opportunity to work with him. Again, always trying to learn, and so it was cool. And I have what else? The next Patriarchs in Black record is done.
Oh, wow. Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's done. That's coming out in October.
Okay.
We're doing some kind of an announcement on Friday, on the 25th.
Okay. Okay. Well, you
And
heard
we
it here
got,
first.
again, like the same kind of formula as we did with the first record, a number of different, guest players and stuff like that. And we got DMC on the record, so
Oh,
that's
hell
pretty
yeah.
cool.
That's awesome. I can't wait for people to hear that.
I'm still scratching my head about how that one happened, but I remember Dan was like, yeah, DMC's gonna sing on a record. How did that happen? They were doing something. They were shooting a video for something that they were involved in, and then Dan was just talking up Patriarchs, and he was like, whatever, you should sing a song on that. And he was like, yeah, all right. We sent him a song. He sent it back in like 2 days, like 3 days. He went through, he blasted through
I love
real quick.
all your projects. What I love about them is that on paper, when you see who's been in each band and all that, like on paper, sounds like it won't work at all, and then you hear it and it's fucking awesome. So like,
That was like the thing, like when Dan had approached me about getting together and working on stuff, or doing recording together. I was like, I don't have time for another band. I can't be in another band.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, I can't. I can't do it. I was like, I'm in 50 bands already. I was like, if you want to do something like, you want to record together, sure, do that. And then he was asking, trying to come up with suggestions for a singer, who would sing for it. And the first thing that came to mind was when Dave Grohl did Probot, the Probot project.
yeah.
It's like, just have a whole bunch of different singers, I mean, there's no money in it, so everybody's making the same, nothing. So
Exactly.
So just fun with it.
Exactly.
And I was like, I would look at it as like the opportunity to, whatever, play with some people that I normally wouldn't get to play with, or do something with. And I got Eric from Pale Horse, Eric Morgan. He's playing bass on a lot of the record and stuff.
Yeah.
Like there were a couple of songs like on the last record, and I was like, Eric's the guy for this. And I was like, Dan didn't know Eric or whatever. And then there was a couple of songs on this record, the new one. I was like, Eric has to play these songs. I was like, Eric will crush these songs. And he did. So that was great. And so it's like, oh, who do you think would be cool singing this record or this song, or, who would be cool for this? And, so you just reach out to some friends and say, hey, you want to, put a bass track on this. What do you think? And do you want to sing on this? So we got a bunch of different singers. Carl Agel from the COC. He's on a couple of songs again. He's back. We did a bunch of covers too, and I don't know what's going to be on the actual release, but we recorded a bunch of cover songs, a few Kiss songs. I got my brother playing guitar on a couple on songs.
Hell yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah.
I'm just as excited to hear this as everything else in the works. But John,
and it's cool. It's a fun thing to do. It's cool. It's fun, and I'm trying to think what else. Like one day, Silvertomb's Chinese Democracy will get finished.
that was the best.
It will.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Silvertombs. How about another Seventh Void album? Really make a Chinese.
Well, Seventh Void, really, that's Silvertomb.
Yeah, I know.
It's the same guys, but now we have a keyboard player.
Yep.
But it's literally like the same lineup. Joe.
Yep. Shout out to Joe and Hank.
Joe toured with Seventh Void when Matt had other things. He couldn't go on the road, so we get Joe to fill in. So Joe was part of Seventh Void as well. So you have Seventh Void with a keyboard player. So it was, the songs were a little bit different, and there was the other element of, other instrumentation in it and stuff. And Kenny wanted to, give it a fresh start.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely did, because Edge of Existence is incredible. I mean, it's
a cool record. It is. This one coming up is a better record. Kenny really stepped up. Like his songwriting took a step up in a big way. I mean, it really is. It's really good. It's trippy. Like when I think about it, it's like, you know, like one song is like broken up into like 4 songs. Wow. And it all kind of like, you know, goes in and it's all tied together and stuff, you know. So, you know, so you know, looking at it, you know, in that kind of like cerebral way, you know, it's a big step up in his songwriting, and the melodies are huge and stuff. You know, we just got to get a good mix. Kenny and I have been fighting about the mix.
All right, I don't know what to text him first. Either that sausage comment you meant, or I'm really looking forward to hearing your Chinese democracy. But thank you so much, everybody. We are here with Johnny Kelly of Typo Negative, Kill Devil Hill, Patriarchs in Black, Pale Horse Named Death, Seventh Void, Silvertomb, Danzig.
And the list goes on.
I am.
You say, you know, and the list goes on.
Yeah, and the list goes on. I never heard of that project before. Oh, we gotta discuss that next time.
That'll be the next one. And the list goes on.
Yeah. Thank you so much. This is Alex from Heavy New York, and we will see you next time.